And thanks to Coach K for firming up the dough. I'm ready for the journey with the So Pro. I know there will be highs, I know there will be lows. Road to success got so many toes, but I'm ready for the journey. Yeah, I said I'm ready for the journey. The journey. Hey, it's more than just...
My guest of honor is from Dallas, Texas, and she serves in the field of social work. She has done this for 12 years, and she served in foster care, geriatric investigation, mental health, and education. She graduated with a bachelor's in social work from the University of Texas at Arlington, and she recently graduated with a master's in social work from East Texas A&M University, formerly known as Texas A&M University Commerce.
Yeah.
Commerce, y'all. Now she serves as a Network 504 coordinator in the special education department for a school district. Her ultimate goal is to become a social worker for the hospital, working with the kiddos. She takes her duty as godmother and TT and auntie very seriously, but she's also a loving mother that has bravely stated that even though her son isn't here in the flesh, he's her angel baby. Throughout her journey, she has had to overcome loss and disappointment, but as she continues to walk with God, I know that He will restore all that she has lost. She has dedicated her life to being an advocate and a support system for those without a voice. Now she's on a mission to connect with her God-sent husband to be fruitful and multiply. Today, my guest of honor is my sister, Latisha Vaughn. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. See, we got to be fruitful and multiply, you know.
Oh, Lord.
That's the goal in life, you know. That's what we've been put here to do.
Yes, well, yeah.
I mean, in more ways than one. It's not just having babies, but it's other things too. So I think that being fruitful and multiply is like a combination of things.
I agree. So, but future husband, if you out there, just I'm ready.
So you out there to see that she putting up that left hand. It's like
I'm ready.
Well, the theme for this season is unstoppable. So I want you to start off by just giving the people a little bit of insight, even though I just told them you're from Dallas.
Mhm.
Give them a little bit of insight about where you're from and a little bit about your background.
Perfect. All right. So I graduated from David W. Carter High School. Whoop. But although I grew up in Oak Cliff, I also grew up in what we call Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Not Lancaster, but Lancaster.
Lancaster's Fort Worth.
That's right. I was just about to say that. So, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for my mom. It wasn't easy for my dad. My mom, she did work 3 jobs. And I would only see her twice a week, like even when I was in middle school.
Wow.
Growing up, we lived with family. We lived in a homeless shelter. We lived, with different people. And of course, people don't always want you to stay with them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. They want their privacy. They want their own space, rightfully so. But when you're with a parent who is giving it all that she can, working, oh my gosh, my mom worked so much. And my dad, like, although my mom had 3 jobs, my dad had 2.
Mm.
And so growing up, it was more so of taking care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So at the age of 12, I mean, back when we were younger, we could stay at home by ourselves. These kids nowadays, I don't know what's going on.
The internet happened.
Yeah. And so we couldn't afford the internet. It was the dial-up.
Yeah. We didn't have internet for a moment.
No.
Like, we just,
No, it didn't. We barely had cable. And then if not, we had to have the antenna. So, but no, my mom, I only saw her twice a week. So I had to grow up. I had to grow up fast.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up fast is making sure you had your own meal, making sure you went to bed on time so you can wake up in the morning and go to school. Although education was important as a child, it was very important, but it wasn't forced.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't forced at all. And so I had to make the determining factor, okay, I gotta go to school. Now, there were times where if I didn't feel like going to school, my mom didn't press the issue. She would ask me why I wasn't going to school, and I'll be like, "Okay, I just don't feel like going," you
Yeah.
know? Um, and there were times if, like, even a little bitty cramp, I don't feel like going. But then I had to make up in my mind, um, that I wanna graduate. I wanna graduate. And a lot of people don't know this, but I flunked the 5th grade. I flunked the 5th grade, and I flunked because I wasn't enthused or excited to go to school. I mean, we were living with family. My mom couldn't pay the bills. Have you ever had an 11-year-old trying to help their parent pay bills, trying to, figure out what can you do,
Yeah.
you know, trying to see if you can babysit, trying to see if you can do something, go help, I used to go and help my cousin, she'd be like, okay, well, I need somebody to help me clean out my closet,
Mhm.
which is the same cousin that I no longer talk
Well,
to. But
oh well.
right. But it's it was watching your parent work hard to the bone, trying to make ends meet and they just couldn't. Um, Living in a shelter, you know, that was the worst thing ever in life. And I made a decision. I told myself that I would not go back to the shelter. If
Mhm.
I gotta go work at the dollar store, if I have to go give plasma,
Something.
Uber, it doesn't matter. I will do whatever I have um, to not go back to that. That was trauma for a child, okay?
I can imagine that.
Yeah, like it to have to go through that is insane as a child because you never understood why your mom would keep you so close when you're in a shelter.
Mhm.
You never it was just something that you just didn't realize, like, my mom never let me out of her sight.
Mhm.
It was one moment where my mom was like, "I want you to go stay with your dad." And I was like, "No. No, I'm not going to stay with my dad." And it wasn't the fact that my dad wasn't in my life because he was. Now, could he have been a better father?
Mhm.
Yes, of course. I felt like my dad was closer to my brother than he was to me.
Mhm.
Um, and it was always me and my mom.
Yeah.
Always me and my mom.
Yeah.
And when I should have been playing outside, I was sitting up here trying to help my mom figure out bills,
Mhm.
and then when she got into a car wreck, um, when I was in I think I was in the 7th or 8th grade. I know I went to D.A. Holsey Middle School. Yes. Uh, here's to her. No, I'm just kidding. That was the song. But anyway, um, she got into a car accident with the school bus.
Wow.
With the school bus. And no lawyer would touch it. No lawyer would touch it. They kept saying that the case was too big. It was too big.
Too big.
So we
Interesting.
struggled. So my mom could no longer work anymore. Um she had to get Social Security, and it's kind of different when your parent has to file for Social Security and they don't meet the age requirement.
Yeah.
So and that is what led me to be in the field that I'm in today because it's hard out here for people. It's like, how can you make ends meet?
Yeah. Yeah.
So um to see my mom take a drastic turn, like my mom was always sick. She was always ill. She had scleroderma, which a lot of people don't know and a lot of people do. It's deterioration of the bones and muscles. And then she had neuropathy, which, it sends like painful shocks through her legs
Mhm.
and inflammation. And then she developed early onset dementia. And then she also had COPD because she was a smoker. So was my dad. They both had heart attacks and strokes, you know. And that was another thing. I made it a priority to not smoke cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, smoking cigarettes, I saw the effects of it. I saw what it could do. I saw how it could damage someone. So I didn't, to see my mom go through that, to see my dad go through that, to be a caregiver at the age of 13,
Jesus.
all the way up until she passed when I was, how old was I? 28, 27. It was one of those ages. But to be a caregiver, and I mean, I used to borrow your car when we were at UTA. Be like, can I use your car? And I would literally take my work study money and go buy her groceries. Um, and I mean, my God, I wouldn't even wish that on my worst enemy, but I wouldn't change that experience for anything in the world.
Yeah.
Um, I know that my mom, even through her dementia, which turned into Alzheimer's, even through that, she still wanted me to be the best that I could be. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had already changed my major a long time ago, but she
Mm-hmm.
was still stuck on me being a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, I want you to be the best lawyer. And I'd be like, well, mama. And after a while, when kept trying to correct her, you'd be like, it's all right.
I'm gonna be a lawyer for the elders.
Yeah, that's
for the
it.
baby.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, it was rough. And I said that if I ever had children, no, I would not want them to go down that road,
Yeah.
nor would I want them to spend their life caring for me. And that's easier said than done, and that's hard to say.
Yeah.
But to have gone through that myself, I would not want my kids to take care of me like that. Like,
Not like
yes,
that.
love your mama.
Yeah.
Love, because I gave birth to you. Love me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Respect me. Help me. Yes. But to give your life, I don't want you to do
Yeah.
that. Mm-mm.
Yeah. That's tough because we all think about that now. It's like, especially if we don't have kids, you be like, who gonna take care of me? But then you have to be like, but they shouldn't have to either at the same time because they have to live their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like you birth them and it's their choice
Mm-hmm.
to do whatever they want to do
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't create this situation, nor is it their responsibility to just be like wholeheartedly be just there.
Yeah.
So I get that wholeheartedly, but it's like hard too for the kid. It's like, that's my mama and that's my daddy. Like, it's like you want to take care of them because they took care of you, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that
I don't, I knew that no one would take care of my mama the way that I did.
mm-hmm.
And so, even when I did not have a car, I did not have a car, but I borrowed your car.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you moved out, I borrowed my other roommate's car. And I was just rolling. And then every time I got my work study check, I try to put a little gas in it and be like, hey, I filled up your tank, And then I finally got my own car, and I was so proud of that car. I got a 99 Chrysler Sebring, and I never forget my old roommate. She broke the handle off.
Oh no. How you break my handle?
Because it was cold outside and sometimes the door would get hung. And so she would pull it and then she picked me up from school one day from the campus. And she said, how's your day going today?
What you done is the question, because baby, don't nobody ask you like that.
Because I said, what did you do? And I never forget, she was like, I said, my handle. And all I could do was laugh. Because it was bound to happen. I mean,
it was bound to happen.
It was bound to happen. The door would get hung, and sometimes I just didn't feel like fighting with it, so I climb in on the passenger side. But hey,
Oh, to be able to climb in from the passenger side. That's
proud of that car.
You should be.
Yeah.
You bought it yourself.
I did.
Like, it's the first. Look, ain't nothing like the first one. And it ain't nothing like that hoopty one, too. Because, I mean, we all done had that one where it was just not quite That car shouldn't even be drivable.
No, because
The
when it was
hoopty.
raining, I couldn't. I either had to pick my battle. I had to make sure I didn't drive at night because I couldn't have my lights on and my windshield wipers going.
Oh Lord.
And then I couldn't have on my air. So I had to pick a battle, because if not, it would make the car go dead, and I,
Oh Lord. She had to choose between necessities of the car functionalities.
yeah, and I never forget when I would stop at the red light on Cooper, it would go dead. And I'm thinking it's still running, so I'm trying to take off. And I'm like, oh, it's dead. Okay, hold on.
Oh my
Push the
God.
gas pedal and hold on, y'all.
Push the gas.
Hold on. And her name was Stacy. Stacy was beautiful. But, finally when she take off, smoke be blowing everywhere. Y'all all right? Y'all.
I used to sing that song about your car. I'd be like, Stacy's mom has got it going. I used to sing that. We all had different names for
Yeah.
our vehicles. My car name, the car you was driving, Sandy,
Sandy
was my
brown one.
hoopty. Was my hoopty. Because if you hit a bump too hard, you gonna have to throw that thing in park and start it back up and then throw it in drive and keep it running. I was like, well, what happened to this vehicle? It wasn't like this when I bought it, but guess it was. I think it had water damage or something. But hey, I got a good deal and it got us to and fro. So,
oh my Lord,
the good days, good old days. Oh, what a time!
for deliverance, Jesus.
Thank you, Lord. We not there no more.
Ooh, no, we are not.
Got a reliable vehicle.
Amen. Thank the Lord.
Oh Lord, that's so funny. Well, I do want to commend you for sure on like just having the heart posture to serve your mom like that, because a lot of people wouldn't have done that at all. They would have just, well, I'm gonna go do me, because that's how people be when it's not them. But I love the fact that you took care of her, because even throughout all of that, you still have so many great memories too of you and your mom and her talking and everything that she used to do. And I think that those are the things that help carry you like throughout. And when people don't have that, that makes it worse for them, because it's like, dang, I didn't get to sit there and deal with her or be with her when she was here.
And that's how I feel like, I love my brother. I do have an older brother. He's 9 years older than me. And I feel like he pays for that now because, when he had the opportunity to assist me with taking care of my mother, he chose the option of not to. And it took me a long time to forgive him for that. When when we buried my mom, it was me that was coming up with the finances, trying to figure out how can I get this money? How can I get that money when my brother didn't help? And he and I have talked about it. And I was so angry with him for a while, for a long time, because out of me and my brother, I was the only one that was working full time. So if my mom was in the hospital, I would get off of work, and that was when I worked for MHMR of Tarrant County. And so I would have to travel to go see my clients. And I would get off of work, go home, dump out my bag, put extra clothes, clean clothes in there, head to the hospital, stay with my mom overnight. I would ask my brother to stay overnight, and he'll be like, I can't. I'm not doing it. And I'd be like, but you're not even working.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything. Like,
right.
And he'd be like, I gotta get my I think that was his wife at the time. I have to get her to work, or she had a doctor's appointment. It didn't matter. And it was always something every single day. Then when she would when they would get off of work, when she would get off of work, my brother still wouldn't come. There were days and days that he wouldn't show up. And I would be angry. And then, when my aunt did come, my aunt, like the hospital is right here, and my aunt stayed 2 sets of apartments down.
Wow.
And I remember she would tell me, she was like, well, I got to leave at this certain time. And I'm like, you stay right up the street. But okay, I don't get off of work until the time that you got to leave. And she was like, well, somebody needs to be here with her. Yeah, I know. So I'm asking you to kind of wait until I get off. I can't just, and by the grace of God, I had a wonderful, wonderful supervisor.
Mhm.
And I'm very transparent with my supervisors, very open. If there is something going on, I'm a very communicative person where I gotta tell you. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
sugarcoat it. Hey, this is what happened. This is this.
Yeah.
And at that time I told him and I was like, my mom is not doing well. This is what's happening. This is that. And he was like, go take care of your mother. And I was
Mhm.
like, well, I don't want to get in trouble because this and this. So,
'Cause you need your job.
yes, I needed my job. And he was like, go take care of your mother. Okay. He was like, don't worry about nothing else. Go take care of your mother. And so, even when I would go to the hospital, I would stay up, like, I would work all day. I would have my laptop doing my work. And then I would leave, go see my clients, go to the office, then come back to the hospital after I stopped by my house, get some clean clothes. Um, and I would come back to the hospital and I would stay up all night because my mom was a sundowner.
Mhm.
So with sundowning, they sleep during the day and they're up during the night.
Mm.
And so she didn't know who certain people were. And regardless of how bad my mom's Alzheimer's got, she still remembered me.
Mhm.
And for a while, when her um when she would set up like UTIs and things like that, because in the geriatric population, they are known for getting a lot of UTIs. And
Mhm.
so when they get UTIs, it can kind of alter their mental. And so I remember one time she had a UTI, but she also had pneumonia.
Mhm.
And she couldn't remember my nickname.
Mhm.
She only remembered Latisha. She didn't remember Shay.
She didn't remember your real name.
Right. So she was like, when they would ask her, they was like, do you know who this is? She was like, yes. She said, that's Latisha. And I'd be like, okay. And every single day, I would cry day in, day out. And I just looked defeated.
Mhm.
Because I mean, to see your parents go through all of that, it's like, okay,
It's nothing like seeing your parents go through something traumatic like that.
nothing.
Nothing.
And nothing can ever prepare you for a situation like that. No matter how much you say you're prepared,
Mm-mm.
nothing could ever
You're not
prepare you.
prepared.
No, not at all.
I can't say and my mom didn't get to the level of your mom,
Mhm.
but seeing my mama go through breast cancer was tough.
Yeah.
So I can imagine
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
That's tough.
It
Like
is.
to watch them suffer at all.
To watch them suffer too. And as long as I live, I will never forget the words of my mom when one day we were either going to church or coming home from church. Um, and I was changing her clothes, and she looked at me and she was like, "You're my mommy now," and that broke me down
Oh man.
because growing up, my mama used to always call me mommy.
Mhm.
That was just her nickname for me. Growing up, just mommy, mommy, mommy. But to hear her say, you're my mommy now, and to actually have to treat her as if she was my child. I had
Mhm.
to make sure she took her medicine. I had to make sure we had clean clothes just in case if she had an accident. I had to make sure that she ate, that we had, um, undergarments. I had to
Mhm.
make sure that she had an extra bag. Like I
Mhm.
had to make sure she had all of these things. And when she needed to go to the doctor, before she went into the nursing home, if she needed to go to the doctor, I had to make sure I had to get her there. There
Mhm.
were times that I used your car to get her there. It's it was a lot. And again, to go from the age of 13 all the way up until 20, either 27 or 28, that's a lot. Like, nobody
That's a long
wants
time.
yeah, that's a very long time, and nobody wants to go through that,
Mm-mm.
you know? But when my mom was still able, even after she got into a car wreck, mind you, I'm in the 8th grade, so I'm working her out, trying to get her to move around. Because if you saw her car, and I think we had just got a brand new car, and it was like 3 to 4 months later she got into that wreck.
Mm.
And so to see her just drastically decline. Now she had had scleroderma her whole life, but it was manageable.
Mm-hmm.
When she got into that wreck, it just went downhill from there. And to have to help her work out her muscles, she would go to therapy, come back, work out the muscles. It was just hard.
Yeah.
But then when she got to a point where she could walk, and she was still able to think on her own, I remember that it was time for me to graduate high school.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom she did not want me to go to school far away. I still wanted to go to school far away because I was like, Mama, you good? I can go because all of my friends were going to Oklahoma Christian.
Yeah.
And so I went to Southwestern Christian College in Terrell. We all did. And then from there, it was just the norm for us to go to Oklahoma Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom pulled a guilt trip on me. She did. She was just like, what if something happened and I can't get to you? Or what if something happened to me and you're stuck there? And I was like, ugh. So I made the decision to go to UTA. And I mean, it was the best experience. And I made the decision to stay on campus because I was like, no, 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 no.
So I'm staying.
I'm staying. But I remember some of my family got mad at me because I chose to go to college.
That's wild. Because you have to better yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what else are you gonna do? Like,
and I was at that time, it was the financial aid that was supporting me. So if I had gone home, not in school, I wouldn't have no income. So I remember that same cousin that I said I no longer talk to, she told me, she was like, it's okay to quit school, to take an alternate route. It's not.
really quick though, like when it comes to education, that's definitely the route I was about to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to education, like what made you choose to go to college? Like what was the thing that made you have that decision placed on you? Like I know I'm going to college. How did you pivot to that?
It was so growing up, my background is church, 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 church.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. And right to this day, it still is. It's so crazy because I still find so much peace in church.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. I love going to fellowship. I love praising the Lord. I love, doing all those things. I love just being around people who are not evil, you know.
That part.
And so, but all of my friends were talking about going to college, and I was like, I'm going to college too, but it was more so of like my mom had some college,
Mm-hmm.
because she was a CNA and then she was an LVN, but during that time, CNA and LVN were kind of the same. It wasn't a lot to
Mm-hmm.
LVN, but it was like some jobs. Like she used to work in a hospital. Um, she used to be there for, um, used to do CNA work, but she also used to do home health,
Mm-hmm.
and also used to sit with people during her spare time. So that's why I only saw her twice a week, because she used to always doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And her checks were not a lot.
Yeah.
So you're working all these hours, Mom, and you would get a check of $398.
Jesus.
$500 on a good day. And I'm like, I don't want that life.
No.
I don't want that life. Who wants that life of struggling? And now, back then, things were not as expensive as they are now, but our parents still couldn't afford it then.
Yeah.
So to see her go through that, to see her giving it her all and to make ends meet and to try to provide. Like, I was like, I knew in my heart, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
I want to be, and I wasn't saying that my mom wasn't successful, but she was struggling.
Yeah.
As so my dad, he's a man, so a little bit of do him just fine.
Yeah.
But my mom, and I think I picked that up from my mom. Like I wanted more for myself, and my mom wanted more,
Yeah.
but she just couldn't afford it. And I feel like going to college was the only way for me.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna open up so many doors. I feel like if my mom were to see me right to this day, she would be so proud.
Yeah. She's proud now. She was proud then, she's proud now too.
Yes, and even seeing her like look at me every time I did something, she was proud.
Mm-hmm.
She was so proud, and I'd be like, "Mama, this ain't even nothing." You know,
Something to her though.
yes. And so when I got my first new car, first of all, I was proud of my little Nissan Versa. I was proud of it. And I was proud of Stacy. Stacy was the red Christ. I was so proud of that car. That was my first car.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my Dodge Caliber. Now that thing, that thank the Lord, I've survived, child.
Stay out of these Dodges, man.
Yes, please.
Get you a Toyota, a Honda. Get you some. I'm sorry to turn the conversation. Hey, if you gonna purchase a vehicle, get you a Toyota, get you a Honda, get you something that's foreign, nothing American made. I'm just gonna put it like that because they'll last you a long time. If you look on the road, you see that there are numerous old Hondas and old Toyotas still driving because they stable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, back to the regular scheduled program.
I had a Dodge Caliber, and when I take off, when I would take off, it'd be like do 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 do, and I'd be like, oh, I said we're gonna be all right. And that was another car. My defrost didn't work, and neither did my hazard lights. So if my car quit on me,
my God, these things are important. Please. Functionality.
Listen, don't do it. Don't do it. But to go through all those things, I knew that college was my only option.
Yeah.
And I never forget. So we're going back to when I flunked the 5th grade. And I had to repeat the 5th grade. And once I got to D.A. Hulsey, I was in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. I stayed there for almost a high school term.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to high school, I made the decision to get into a recovery class, and it was called Reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up finishing high school in 3 years because I wanted to graduate with my class. So it was like the first part of the day, which was morning, I did the 9th grade work. From the afternoon on, I did 10th grade work.
Yeah. And
so it was like, I'm not going to say night school, but it was like morning, afternoon, and I never forget, I made the decision. I was like, nope, I want to graduate with my class. My class was 06. I want to graduate. I want to graduate with my class. I don't want to graduate with 07. I want to graduate with 06. That's my class. And so going through Reconnect, still trying to maintain my grades and with regular freshman year and doing sophomore work. And I'm like, oh. So you're at a computer and you're trying to work and you writing down everything, math was not the math that is today. Okay. If I ever have kids, you're going to learn old school math. Okay.
Yes.
Not this square box thing. We're not doing
it. You're getting a tutor.
Yeah. Because I'm not it.
It's not my ministry.
No, it's not. Reading, baby, I can help you with reading.
Everything else I can help you with.
Yes.
But math.
And science, no. Because science has a little math.
I can hook you up with science, but if nothing else, we know
be sending them to Aintree.
We know if not, we're gonna get you a tutor.
Baby, that's what mama is gonna do. So I just want to let you know it's not happening over here. But I knew that I wanted to go to college, and I knew that I wanted to graduate with my regular high school class. And so I finished high school in 3 years. And I was so excited. Now, my mom and dad, they both graduated high school, but it was me who pushed me
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't know at the time the ins and outs. They
Yeah.
were old school parents. They didn't know. They didn't know, hey, I need to do this. I got to do this.
Yeah.
Now, if I failed, we didn't have the dojo like kids have now, class dojo, Schoology. We didn't have any of that.
Schoology.
We had those paper progress reports, and then we had the report cards, actual report cards.
Absolutely.
And they would get sent home. Now, when I was in school, that's when they first implemented the phone call.
Oh yeah, that phone call.
Yeah. Your kid is this and this. Oh, so when you come from playing outside, your mama is sitting right there. And when I got in trouble, my nickname Shay, no. It was Latisha, but it wasn't even Latisha. My mama would put the re on the end. So it would be Latisha Ree. And I'd be like, oh man, I'm in trouble. Gotcha. And she'd be like, now what is this about you failing? Oh,
I don't know.
And you know that mama, you know how like on Kings of Comedy where he'll be like, you got that grandmama's dragging a foot with the robe. My mama had a pink robe, okay? But she would come up to the school. That's where they just pop up, seriously.
Pop up.
Yes, and be like, I'd be like, oh, that's my mama. Oh, that's my mama. And it's so funny because Kings of Comedy was real life, okay? When your mom pop up, you act like you doing work, and they be like, Latisha, oh, let's put this down. Yes, hey, but when I failed, because failing was not an option, although going to school was not forced, but it was something that I was expected to do even without the push.
Yeah.
Like my parents pushed me, but it wasn't, no, you're going to school. It wasn't that, because they worked. So they didn't have time to do that. And then lo and behold, my brother had 2 kids when I was in the 6th grade. And then he and his girlfriend were working at a restaurant at that time. Who you thought was babysitting the kids? I'm in the 6th grade and I'm babysitting one at that time. And then when I was in the 7th grade, they had another. So who you thought was babysitting both of those kids in middle school? Me. And so again, I'm coming home from school taking care of 2 kids that are not mine. And I'm feeding them, giving them a bath. Mind you, 6th grade, I'm what, 12?
Yeah.
11, 12? And I'm feeding them, giving them a bath, putting them to bed, and I'm at home by myself. After that, they got off of work in the morning. My mama got off of work in the morning. And here I am with kids. I had to wake up because I had to get dressed for school, 6th and 7th grade. And then I had to get the kids ready. Okay. And so
they should have been getting them kids ready. They're children.
They were their children. You're absolutely right. And at that time, you just had to get it done. And I could have been that kid that went out, and messed with little boys. But my mama scared and I hate to say that, but she did. She scared the hell out of me, like literally. She did. She would tell me, she would be like, and if you get pregnant, you are dropping out of school and you're going to get a job. Mind you, I was 11. And she was like, you going to take care of that baby. And it's like a lemon. No, it's like a lemon giving birth to a watermelon. If that wasn't the best analogy ever in life.
It's like a lemon giving birth to a watermelon. Ooh.
Literally. It was. And when you thought about it, I was like, wait, so a watermelon this big and then a lemon. I mean, think about it.
That's a lot.
And it's true. I mean, think about it. Got a lemon. And and you got this big old watermelon coming out.
And if your baby got a big old watermelon head.
I know somebody who gave birth to a 10 or 11-pound baby.
That's a lot of baby.
That's a lot of baby to come out the lemon.
That's a lot. That's a lot of baby. The lemon seed to come out the lemon seed. That's how I feel about it. That's wild.
It is. And so that scarred me. That truly scarred me. So I wouldn't let no boy touch me. None until I was grown.
Yeah.
Grown.
At least you was grown.
I was.
I'm glad you took your mom's advice because no.
And I mean, I had ample opportunity because I was at home by myself all the time.
Yeah, but you was also an adult.
Yes.
You were operating like a full-fledged, full-time working adult.
I was.
And in middle school, so with kids.
With kids.
Single mother.
With kids. And now I look at my nephews and they still say yes, ma'am to me. You better. You better. I raised you and I'll kill you. I mean, let me rephrase. I'll unalive you.
Unalive.
And they still be like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes. And those babies are like 24, 23, 24,
super
22, grown. 23. Yes, I have a great nephew. Crazy out here.
Yeah, it makes you feel so old.
Definitely.
It just makes you feel so old. But I mean, I'm sure they're grateful for everything you've done for them and like how you still do for them and stuff like that. You making the decision to go to college not only impacted your life, but I'm sure it impacted theirs because they knew that it was possible because you did it, right? So when you got to UTA and everything like that, what made you choose the major that you chose? Like, did you have a different major beforehand, like you said? Tell us about that.
When I went to Southwestern Christian College, I wanted to be a lawyer, a straight lawyer. And actually, when I was in high school, I wanted to go to UT Austin.
Okay.
But because all of my friends at church were going to Southwestern Christian College, I was like, I want to go. And I did. Now, when I got to UTA, I still had that major, but because they didn't have pre-law at UTA, they had political science. So I switched my major to political science. And then after a while, the more I kept helping my mom, because the more she kept getting rejected for a lot of government assistance, I was like, so I started researching stuff to help my mom. And then I realized this is what I want to do. Like, I want to help somebody. I don't want them to go through what my mom went through. And then if there is someone my age that is helping their parent, I want to be able to give you advice and be like, hey, that's not going to work. Go and like, go do this. This is going to help. This is going to work. I knew when my mom started getting worse, I was like, yeah, social work seems to be my thing.
Yeah.
Seems to be my thing.
That right there just shows you how God uses anything. And who knows, this may have been that may have been the reason. Like, unfortunately, like it was painful. Most processes are, but seeing your mom go through that did spark something in you. So all of the pain that we go through has a purpose and a lesson attached to it. But the fact that you were able to discover what career fields you want to go into, your passion and like the need to want to help other people always sparked from your experience as a child.
All of it did.
Yeah. And your mom used to do it too, in a sense.
She did.
She was a person who served others. So it's like it just trickled on down. It trickled on down.
It did.
And like now you got it.
Yes. And right to this day, I love helping people. That's just my thing. I don't care if it's a baby. I don't care if it's a geriatric person. I don't care if it's a teenager. Now, teenagers, your mavs get a little crazy, and
send those to me.
Yeah, she can handle those because I'm old school. Okay, old school is where you're, it didn't matter if you were the parent or not. You get popped in the mouth, And I was born that way. I was raised that way, so I feel like I have the right to pop you in your mouth if you come at me sideways.
She's gonna get a lawsuit.
So even with like my godchildren, my nephews, just everybody, I'm just like, hey, watch it. Don't do that. Now I will spoil your child. I will spoil them rotten. I will because I just love kids. I do. I love them. And but if you get out of line, oh, okay. Well, here comes the disciplinarian side of me. No. But then I see you and I'll be like, come here, you know, and then we'll cuddle and I just hold you. I just hold you and I tell you how much I love you and how much I want you to be great.
Mhm.
I feel like, yes, you discipline a child. That does not mean beat a child. You
Mhm.
don't got to beat them. You don't got to do all of that. You don't. But you can discipline a child, but still remind them of how much you love them.
Yeah.
So even with adults, sometimes we have to be reminded of how much we're loved.
Mhm.
And I feel like sometimes I tell anybody, listen, I love you. So if I see you messing up, yeah, I'm going to say something. But that's just who I am.
Absolutely.
I'm a caring person, I'm a nurturing person. And so I do like to help. I like to be there when I can. I like to support when I can.
Mhm.
You know, now I have learned that I no longer go out of my way. And
Gotta have
that's
boundaries.
yes, and I unfortunately I learned that later on in life, like within the last year.
That's all right.
I will not go out of my way. If I can't do it, I can't do
Yeah. And I mean, that's reasonable because
it.
God wants you to be well.
Mhm.
He wants you to be well. You can't give everything away.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I,
Mhm.
I agree with that wholeheartedly because people will be takers. If they're gonna take, they're gonna take. You gotta have some boundaries. So I'm glad you learned that. I had to learn that lesson myself. So
Mhm.
it's necessary.
Mhm.
Should
Boundaries are very important, and that's
very.
even I learned not only did I learn it in personal experience, but in the field of social work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to learn your boundaries because if you continue to support people and continue to give, how are you replenishing yourself? How are you, you know, giving to yourself if you're constantly giving?
Yeah.
And even though it's easier said than done, because if you just have a genuine heart, you do want to
You
help.
want to give, yeah.
But also, as much as I want to help, there are times where I just don't have the means to.
And yeah. And you have to take her home. Like you do have to take her home first. And it's not to say that you can't give, but it's you gotta be mindful of how, you know, make sure your home is set too. Like, but God is gonna always honor you being generous.
Hmm.
But we do have to have boundaries and be mindful of our responsibilities as well. Cause
Hmm.
if we don't do that, who gonna take care of your stuff?
Nobody.
Like, yeah, who gonna take care of your stuff? But I'm glad that that was revealed to you so that you can find the space that you're supposed to be in because clearly you already have the heart posture for it and you love what you do. So I know that you want to work in a different space in the future. So tell us a little bit about what you do now and like the goals for the future when it comes to your career field.
Um,
I mean career position, not field, position.
um, what I do now, I'm a Network 504 coordinator. So I work in basically special education and I create treatment plans for those in need. Now with 504 is not just limited to um, academic disabilities or anything of that sort. It also can help give accommodation to a scholar who may have diabetes, who um, may have ADHD, ADD, ODD, and you have to forgive me for the acronyms because sometimes they just roll off my tongue.
That's all right.
So ADHD, of course we always know that. And I do have to put this disclaimer out there. A lot of Black children, a lot of Black boys are diagnosed with ADHD. And that bothers me. It bothers me because doctors are so quick to diagnose little Black boys with ADHD, some sort of disability.
Mhm.
Okay. So, as a parent, and speaking to all of the parents, as a parent, you know your child And I'm not saying that to have a crutch for them. I'm saying that you know your child.
Yeah.
Do not allow others to diagnose your child. Now, if your child are exhibiting these behaviors, I need you to be self-aware. I do not need you to be not my baby, because we're quick to say, not my baby. My baby don't know, honey, your baby is bad. Bad. And I don't like to say kids are bad. I really don't. But
He active.
there we go. He's very active. He is very defiant. Okay. He doesn't want to follow rules. Well, as a person who education was not my field, I'm like, I don't know about education. This is not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But as I got into it, I feel like it kind of ties into social work because I'm working with those who have disabilities. Again, disabilities are not limited to academic or mental. It could be a child has cancer, a child has diabetes, a child that does have behavioral problems. But then we need to discover, like with those kids who are exhibiting behavioral issues, what is making them act this way? What is a trigger? What
Mm-hmm.
is why are they doing this?
Yeah.
You know, whenever I have my meetings, I always think about the who, what, when, where, why, how.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You need to know this. I need to know what led up to this. I need to know why did he hit you?
Yeah.
Because that is a thing. I need to know why did he yell? What activity were you all doing at that time?
Mm-hmm.
And I also realized that every plan, every child is different. It's different. And you cannot generalize everybody. You cannot put them all in the same box.
Mm.
You cannot. This baby may be in this section, the other baby may be in this section. These two are not alike. So I think that this field has helped me learn that, and it has also enhanced my social work.
Yeah.
Because there are parents who, even in this field, I have parents to say, I don't know where to go to find my child some therapy, outside therapy, because we offer a counselor
Mm-hmm.
resource support in school, but it's
Yeah.
only so much.
Yeah.
This cannot be the thing. Like, you have to give them outside therapy
Yeah.
because it's only so much that a school counselor can do.
The time.
Yes, it's the time. So if you have a whole bunch of kids, exhibiting certain behaviors and all of this, that counselor doesn't have all the time. I mean, it's 8 hours. Kids are in school for 8 hours.
Yeah.
That counselor does not have time to go and get to everyone.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've had parents to be like, I've tried, I'm on a waiting list for this therapist. And so some of my parents, I'm like, I'm gonna talk to you afterwards. After our meeting, I asked them, what insurance do you have? Okay, what days are you able to take the child to see a therapist? Do you have transportation? You don't. Okay, so virtual will be your best thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's taking your job and going beyond,
Yeah.
and I think that's also the social work side of me, because I'm like, I the social work side of me will not just allow me to stop at 504. I gotta ask questions. I gotta know more. I've had parents who, adopt kids. They still need resources
Mm-hmm.
because some are your troubled ones.
Yeah.
And so you have all of these things, and it's like trying to sometimes I try not to dig deep into my social work, but I can't help it. It's a part of me. It's just,
It's in you.
yeah, it
Yeah.
literally is. And so I feel like when I do eventually go into the hospital setting, I feel that what I learned in education
Mm-hmm.
is going to be applied in the hospital
It's
setting.
gonna transition for
Hmm.
sure. You're gonna be able to use everything that you've done
Hmm.
up to this point.
And I also feel like helping kids, that's my passion.
Mm-hmm.
And I love helping kids. And the reason why I would love to work in a children's hospital.
We can be specific. We can go on speak it. Nah.
I lost a child. So had a child at UTA, got pregnant, whatever.
Just whatever.
I got pregnant, and although it wasn't ideal, the situation was not ideal. I was like, hey, I am struggling as a college student.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can help someone who are now in the shoes that I once were in,
Mm-hmm.
if I can help them to get up on their feet and support them during their pregnancy, the
Mm-hmm.
support that I lacked during my pregnancy, I will. And that's one of the reasons why I do want to be around kids. I want to be around, work as a medical social worker in a children's hospital because I want to help.
Mm-hmm.
And because I feel like as time go on, we get younger and younger parents.
Yeah, it's getting younger and younger for sure.
Yeah, and I just feel like they need help. They need guidance.
They need
And
they need it because I mean, grandma's is 30 now.
seriously.
Like
Seriously.
it's wild.
Yeah.
30.
Seriously. Yeah.
Yikes.
Grandma's a 30 and
And going out. They ain't taking care of no
I ain't
babies.
taking care of nothing.
They on their way to the club. Half these grannies on their way to the club. I'm sorry.
No, seriously. They are. And it's like, okay, like, baby, how old are you?
I'm old enough.
Right?
I'm old enough. That's what they gonna tell you. But no.
I know a few grandmas that are my age.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's crazy.
insane.
It's still wild to see your friends who have had kids and now they're graduating high school. Like
Yes.
that is, I mean, which is realistic because they had them in their 20s.
Yep.
So it's realistic because we're almost 40.
Yep.
So that's a good thing. Look, you see that skin. Hey, it's okay. I'm gonna embrace it. I don't mind
I
getting
feel
older.
like I will. I feel like we're gonna be the only ones that are old mothers. Be like,
And
baby, no,
that's
we
if
was
I
supposed
become a
to see you
mother.
at
That's
this.
if I become a mother.
Hey, we speaking it into it.
But
I get it.
I am okay being an auntie. I'm perfectly fine being an auntie. Perfectly fine. But if the Lord sees fit, we just gonna be out here at 40 and cribbing it up. Like, strolling it up. It is what it is, whatever. As I have on the Don's Daycare shirt, but I might be the auntie to just take care of all the babies. But
I that is actually something that I battle with. Like, because I want to be a mother again, but I want to be a mother to a living child. And
mm-hmm.
so a lot of people, still say that I'm still a mother.
You are.
And it's hard for me to accept that because I'm like, I don't have a kid. My kid is gone to glory. And I find peace in feeling like my mom and dad is spoiling
Mm-hmm.
my child. Up in heaven, I do, and I don't care what the church folk may say. I don't care. They up in heaven and they're spoiling my son.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to be a mother again. Like I
Mm-hmm.
really do. I really do. And then I battle with it because I've had the question brought to me. What if God says no? Are you still gonna praise him? And for a long time, that was a big thing. And I would literally say no, And then they would say, so you're saying that God is not enough. And I remember with my own mouth, I literally said, no, he's not enough.
Mm.
I literally said that. And that was being truthful to myself. That was being honest with myself. Because I knew at that time how much I wanted a child. And although I still want a child, I would love to be a mother. Um, I know that if he doesn't, I have to still be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the world is not going to stop because I'm not a mother. My life is not going to stop because I'm not a mother.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the reality of at one point, and most recent point, I was like, no, he's not enough.
Yeah, that was honest for you at that time. But one thing we have to be mindful of when it comes to just the things that we want is we can't make things an idol. Because
And that's exactly what I was doing.
yeah, like I mean, we all have done it. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? With different things. You know, with you it's having a baby. With me it's entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like we've all had those things that we just want so bad. You
Mhm.
know, but if we surrender it to him, it's so much better.
Mhm.
And we're able to like have peace with having it or not. I'm content with, I'm content without, you know?
Mhm.
But if God, we know the God that we serve is gonna replenish, and we pray that He gives you that opportunity to have that baby again. And if He does not, you've been a mother to numerous children. So, but I do feel like He's gonna give you that opportunity. But I think He wants it to be in a space where you're having the whole package, not just
Yeah.
the baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that He's setting you up for that
And I mean,
because we want the family.
we do. But you know, God, I'm not rushing you. I'm just saying.
He said He can work miracles. Numbers don't mean nothing to Him.
It doesn't, because clearly
Cause I mean, Mary had him, you know,
it's evident.
with nothing going on.
It is so evident that we are not working on the same time frame. We're not. But you know, his timing is different. And
Yeah.
I tell myself all the time, like, God, I want to be married. I want to have kids. I want to. But sometimes I feel like God is just saying, nope, not right now. Work on this and work on that and do this. And I'm like, you know that such and such had a baby and they were not ready. And you know they got married and they were not ready.
And they're gonna have to deal with that too.
Yeah. And then I'll be like, now why? How she find a good man? And Lord, and you sometimes you find yourself questioning a lot of things. You find yourself questioning a lot of things, doing a lot of things. And I had to literally stop comparing myself to others. And I still struggle with that if we're just being transparent.
Mhm.
I struggle with comparing myself with others, to others, because I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, what are they doing that I'm not? You
Mhm.
know, and why do they get this and I don't? Like, I know I'm not perfect, but I know I am doing God, do you not see? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You
Mhm.
got a blind eye to that. Okay. Okay. You know, but then I started praying more. And I was like, okay, God, just help me to be okay and help me to be content with the season I'm in.
Mhm.
That does not mean help me to just become complacent. No,
Yeah.
that does not mean that. It
Contentment and
means,
complacent is not the same.
yeah, it's totally different. That what I'm asking God is, God, help me to be grateful for you even blessing me to make it this far.
Yeah.
Um, I know I'm not done. I know that you have way more in store for me. But God, help me to appreciate,
Yeah.
to absorb this moment, to learn from this moment, but to know that my time is coming.
Yeah.
My time is coming. And it was a sermon, I think it was last Sunday or Sunday before last. I want to say it was last Sunday. Where he was like, stop trying to run the race of others. That's not your race. No need
Mhm.
to compete.
That's how you burn yourself out.
That is
That's
because you're trying to keep up with everybody else instead of staying in your own lane.
you cannot do that. It's not worth it because honestly, the things that they're going after is for them.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever's for you, you got to spend time figuring out what's for you so you can run your race.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever pace that is, that's the pace that God set, the pace of grace. That's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to speed through the process because you miss all the lessons. Then you
That,
gonna once you get it in your hands and you fumble it.
yeah.
I don't want to do that.
I don't.
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to fumble it at all.
Not after all that work. Not after all
Cause
that work.
not out of all the frogs I done kissed, Lord, no, 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 no. I don't want that. And bring me my husband that you have in store for me. And I don't
Please.
want to be hasty in any decision.
Yeah.
I want to go at the pace that God has for me.
Yeah.
Like even working and going back to working in the medical field, I know, and let's even go back to not graduating from college when I thought that I should have.
Mm-hmm.
I had so many things going on in college. I was hanging on to undergrad just just by the hem of his garment,
You had a
okay?
lot going on.
It's just Lord just dragged me along.
It was that thread. It was a thread. It wasn't even him. You had a lot going on
I did.
that was outside of you.
Yes,
Dude.
it was more so of God. I'm trying to take care of my mama while working a work study job. Then I switched to working a full-time job and going to school full time.
Mm.
And then taking care of my mom full time. And then in the midst, my dad died and having to plan a funeral at the age of 20, and I'm like, what? And then as soon as your dad died, your mom just take a drastic drop.
Man.
And then she started to get worse. And then along the lines, you fall what you call in love.
What you
Uh,
call-
you thought you was in love and you were not.
Man.
And you allowed yourself to be played. And as a result, you got pregnant.
Mm.
And then to have people that you grew up knowing your whole life, that includes family, that include church family, especially church family and especially family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have these people turn their back on you, shame you, shame you, but do not shame him.
Mm.
And this is someone that you grew up with, you know. Um, you have people talk about you again that you grew up knowing your whole life. You have people talk about you. You have people call you bitter. You had people who say, "Oh, you need to move on." Yes, you lost a child, but there are so many women that lost a child. I hate that. Do not, belittle what I am feeling. Do not.
No, you can't. Did you lose a child?
Right.
Okay.
And you had, you know, his family that would come to the hospital and literally say, "We just gonna move on." No, we're moving on because that doesn't fit into your image. Didn't fit into your image, so you were happy. Um, and you had people who you thought were your friends that talked about you so badly, talked about you so badly. And you had people that literally watch you grow up turn their back. You had family members to call you all kind of names, call you all kind of names, turn their back on you, and said that I was being wild at school, all because I got pregnant. That does not mean that I was being wild. That does not mean that. That
Not at all.
means that I trusted someone and I allowed that person to come into my personal space, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that I knew that they wouldn't hurt me because I thought that we cared for each other. I mean, he was there when my mom was in and out of the hospital. He was there when my dad died. He actually sung at my father's funeral. Um, you know, he was there. Now, I'm not going to say that everything was perfect. No. But it's a lot of things that he lied about that nobody ever knew the truth about and still don't right to this day. And it's not my job to bring it up. Now, don't get it twisted. If somebody was to ask me, yes, I will tell them. But I wasn't perfect in this situation either. I knew what was going on. But did I do it by myself? No, I didn't. But was I blamed as if I did it by myself? Yes, so. Because there was no way that I was taking advantage of a 6'2", 200 and something pound man and my little 5'1.5". And at that time, I was way smaller. I was 160 something pounds, but there wasn't no way. But I was torn down as if I was nothing. And it took a lot for me to trust church people. I am just now getting to a place where I can say hi to certain family members. And my son would have been 13 years old.
Sheesh.
Um, and that cousin that we talked about, that I no longer talk to, it was hurtful because that was a cousin that I trusted. But she played both sides,
Mm.
as in she made it seem like she didn't, she was upset with how they communicated with me,
Mm-hmm.
but then she was going behind my back, talking to him as if nothing happened. She and I got into it, and because she was so mad, she literally told me, that's why your baby dead. And of course, there were other words. To go through that from someone that you thought loved you, that you thought would never hurt you, that was very, very traumatic, hurtful. And then to have people again in your family to turn their back on you and then to tell you, oh, you sin and you this, you that. But we're not going to talk about how your kids don't have the same daddy, but they was raised by the same man, but they don't have the same daddy. But we're not talking about that. We're not talking about. We just gonna shame you. And in the midst of me getting pregnant, that's when my mom's medical condition became worse, and that was a lot. And the stress from family, from church family, trying to take care of your mom, and told that you wasn't doing anything for your mom. It caused me a great deal of stress. Caused me to go into premature labor. Caused me to deliver my child prematurely. Yeah. I was 6 months gestational.
Wow.
And he tried. He was only 1.5 pounds. He tried, but he couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was then that I found out who my real friends were, who my real family was. And don't get it twisted. Family does not mean blood. Because I can tell you right now, I am closer to friends than I am family. Now, some of my family members, you know, and when I say family members, I meant maternal family. Me and my paternal family members were fine. But maternal, no. I mean, my mom, it'll be 10 years this year on December 31st, and my mom has been gone. And I can tell you that out of those 10 years, I just reconnected with two. Two. And that was because we had a conversation. And unintentionally, I'm not being distant with them on purpose, but I'm cautious.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would be too.
hmm I love my cousins, my two. I love them. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But am I naturally cautious? Yes, I am. Because I went through a great deal of things
Mm-hmm.
with family. I don't want to go through that anymore. So it's like feeding them with a long handled spoon. You know how your mama and daddy used to tell you that, and you didn't realize what that meant until now. When you
Yeah.
get older, you be like, oh, that's what they meant. And that's what I do.
That's what you have to do though, because like family, the people closest to you can be the ones that hurt you the most because they're the closest to you.
hmm
So it's almost like when that happens, it's very stressful because it's like you supposed to protect me,
hmm
but at the end of the day, it's almost like God is going to give you family even if it's not blood.
hmm
And you got to receive them
hmm
because He gives you some people that are going to be there, but sometimes that family you have to reevaluate how you operate with them just because your peace.
Yeah.
That peace aspect is very important.
Baby, it is
That
because
peace aspect will do it for you every time. Like, seriously.
it is because you feel like now I be like, oh, if I don't feel like talking to family, I don't feel like it. I don't want to. Now my dad's side, I have the best uncle in the world, and everybody knows about my uncle. That's my heart right there. I
Mhm.
will fight somebody over that man. That's my heart right there. And he crazy, and I love him for it because he's gonna say whatever is on his mind, whatever he feels. But that's my heart right there, and that's the one that I talk to all the time. But finding your peace in because I have this thing like I don't I don't call everybody friends anymore. You know, the friends that I do have, I love them. I love all five of them. I love them, and I feel like they have been in my corner. You know, they have shown me what family is supposed to be.
Mhm.
Like it took us a long time, like for me to accept that you're here for me. Like you're my sister. You're family. Like I don't even consider us as friends. I consider
Mhm.
us as family because I go to her family's house for holidays. You know,
She goes to her family's house for holidays.
right. I go to my family's house for holidays. I literally call her aunts and uncles, auntie and uncle,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and they be like, hey baby, how you doing? Blah blah blah. You know, I love them.
That's how it has to be, though. I feel like that's how it should be.
Yes. And her mama, I call her mama. Like
Mhm.
that's just and even before my mom passed away, it was mama, you
Yeah.
know.
I loved her mama too. Her mama was fly. Like that was a fly little old lady. Like fly.
and used to give me hell.
Hey, she was fly. I tell Shay all the time, Latisha, I'm sorry. I tell Latisha all the time, that you're such a lady. And I feel like people don't be accepting me saying that. And I'm like, it's a good thing. They so girly. It's so you see the hand, it's like so girly. See her nails, she got nails done and everything. Such a lady. It's okay. Such a lady. And I think that comes from seeing her mom like that, dressed like that, take pride in her appearance. And, like the things that we get passed down is just amazing, like from
Yeah.
the parentals.
Yes. I learned how to drink coffee from my mama.
Lord Jesus.
I drink a lot of coffee. Well, I used to. For the past 2 weeks, I haven't been drinking it like
That's
that.
great.
But I like me and her auntie. I literally know I love coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll be like, baby, you know where it is? Yes, I sure do. Auntie, you want some? You know, I sure do. I drink it. And I got that from my mama.
Lord Jesus.
My mama used to have like me and my mama's thing was drinking coffee and playing Connect 4. That was our thing. And when I was younger, my mom used to always wake me up on Saturday mornings and she'd be like, little girl.
Little girl.
She'd be like, come on, girl, I made us some coffee. Let's play Connect 4. That was our game. And then after that, we'll pull out them VHS tapes. Watch us a good old movie. We will watch several movies on the couch and then pull out that hide bed. You know, the hide bed, you pull it out. And we used to sleep in there all weekend. That was our thing. And then as she got older, we still did it. But it became way different because some movies she didn't realize, when she used to spend a night with me, she didn't realize where she was.
Yeah.
But we still did it. Nothing changed. And we still played Connect 4. We still drank our coffee. And she used to get mad at the nurses when they used to put thickener in her coffee because she didn't like it. That's not what she was used to. And they would call me all the time, bless their hearts. I just want to thank y'all so much because some of the nurses loved my mama. And they was like, we're not playing with Miss Harris. She gonna be all right, but she ain't getting this coffee in the regular way because she ain't gonna choke on my watch.
Oh.
And so my mom would cuss them from night to day, and then would go to church and be a saint, child. Go in there and be like, but it's
Mm,
good.
mm-mm.
Yeah, she just cussed me out on the way to church this morning, you know,
On the way to the door.
on the way. And but she she would just, I mean, that woman right there, that was my heart. That was my baby. That listen, that was my heart. That was my baby. Everywhere I went, she had to go because she wanted to go. Um, and that was another thing. Like family would say that I wasn't there for my mom. Just because you didn't see me didn't mean that I wasn't there. I was
Yeah.
always there. And it was certain people who would come to me and be like, Shay, don't you let them tell you that you didn't do anything for your mom because we saw you. And it still hurt because it came from family.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard when people, your family, tell people, "Oh, she ain't never there." You, I didn't borrow your car. I borrowed her car and my other friend's car. I borrowed their car to go check on my mama, to spend my work study check, to buy her groceries, to buy her the toiletries that she needed. But because you didn't see me do it, you think that I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
Or when I would have the people who were still on my side at my church, my old church at that time, they would help me. I'd be like, I'm just trying to buy my mama groceries. And they were like, what about you? I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about my mama. So it was a lot. And I say with college, life was lifing. You know, it took me a long time to use that phrase, but now you can pay me not to use it. Life was lifing, okay? And but during that time, even though I didn't see it, God was guiding.
Yes, it was.
You know, he was making a way. And
Mm-hmm.
the old people used to always say, you know, he's making a way out of no way. That is so true because who buys a car making $9 an hour and having a monthly payment on a car? Who does that and paying rent
Jesus,
with lights?
Lord. He will definitely make a way out of no way because if he working in you, he gonna work through you. And we don't know half the ways of the time. Like, how did we do it? It had to be nothing but God. Like, there's no other way to explain. There's no other way to explain it. You know.
No other way. Because
So
I can't tell you how I made it through last week. I
yeah.
can't. But I can tell you God was with me every step of the way because I'm still sane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still alive. And I think that's my main goal now is the reason why I want to be there for other people because I know what it felt like to not have anybody there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is I tried to take my life several times. Several times. And I literally tried to commit suicide several times. And that is such a that's a trauma that it took me years to discuss. And I remember I would take pills with alcohol, just washing it down. I slept with a butcher's knife under my pillow, and I would sleep with my door unlocked. I did. I would drink my life away, especially after I had my child and he
Mm-hmm.
died. And then to see the people that turned their back on me, or to see the father of my child move on with his life as if nothing happened, and to see family talk bad about me and to go on with their life, I literally tried to kill myself. And that's hard to say, but I did. And so to go through postpartum depression and depression in general, and to try to take your life because you had suicidal ideations, and to try to act upon those things, and to try to wash and drown your sorrow in alcohol, to to go and entertain guys that you shouldn't have, to not go to church, not praise God. Actually, I was mad at God. I was mad at him for years. And I was bold. I was bold. I was bold at cursing God. I was. I was bold at, God, you ain't never done da 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 da. I don't know why you took my baby. And it took me 13 years to finally say this. But God was thinking, my child, that wasn't your baby to begin with. That was mine.
Mm-hmm.
I brought him on this earth not to live a long life, but to live a short, powerful life.
Mm-hmm.
I brought him on this earth to get you out of a situation that you knew you should not have been in, but you chose to be in it anyway. And I kept trying to tell you the nice way to get away from who you were with, but you didn't listen. And because you didn't listen, you're going to get pregnant. But this baby is not going to be here forever.
Wow.
This baby is to get you out of a situation that you should not have been in, but I'm going to help you get out of it because you're my child. And so for a long time, I was angry at God. And for years, we're talking about 13 years. I just admitted this year.
Mm-hmm.
My child wasn't mine to begin with. He had always been the Lord's.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was with his father, and I should not have been, God had to bless me with a child only to take him away, to get me away from his father. Because if I didn't get pregnant, who's to say how long I would have been in that situation? And girl, this is so powerful to me because I mean it's powerful because it took me 13 years to realize that yes, it hurts. It hurts. I had complications with my pregnancy. I was in the hospital a week before I gave birth and a week after. So I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And I was tilted on my head the first week
Jesus.
to get him off of the cervix area to move him back.
Ooh.
And to go through that. And who was at the hospital with me? My friends. When I gave birth, the father of my child, his family, and his girlfriend, and my family came up there. My cousin, the one who I had got into a physical altercation with, the same cousin who said that's why my baby dead, B, we're going to say B, um, told me that I should let my baby go, that he wasn't going to survive, and that I would be a selfish mother to try to get him or try to have the doctors to save his life.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
As a mother,
Why would you say that?
yeah, as a mother, that was hurtful. I couldn't say, no, let my child die. Let my child go.
You gotta at least try.
Yeah.
Like,
And it was hard. And the doctor would come in and would say, hey, do you want us to still try? Yes, I do. And I was out of it. And then that same cousin felt like my friend should have left when she arrived. No, because you would have told them to let the baby go. You would have told them, don't save, don't do this. Don't. They had orders. They knew that if I could not talk, which I couldn't, to go ahead and do what you can to save my child. Did I get a chance to hold my child? I sure did.
mm-hmm.
And the father came back there where I was. He didn't want to hold him, but he cried. But then when he left out of that room, he went back to his normal life. And there I was, stuck with the loss of a child. The father of my child has 2 sons, 2 beautiful sons. Beautiful family. And here I am without one. So for a long time that bothered me. It bothered me because I'm like, really, God, I didn't do this by myself, but you making me pay for this by myself. Rightfully so, because that's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And the devil has a way of showing you things that aren't true. But had I had my child, and the reason why I say all that to say this, had I had my child, I wouldn't be where I am today. As in, I wouldn't be on the other end of helping someone in mental health with their child.
Mm-hmm.
I would be the one receiving services
Yeah.
for my child. And the reason why is because my son had bleeding on the brain. His lungs were not fully developed. He was trying to breathe on his own, but his lungs were not fully developed. I probably would have been that parent that I deal with right to this day that are getting services for their child. And let alone I would have been dealing with his not so good father at the time. Now, how his father is now, I do not know. And honestly, I don't care to know. I wish him well. And it has taken a lot for me to say that. But I wish him well. I can't harbor on what happened between us years ago. I cannot. That took so much out of me. But I wish you well. I feel like things would have been totally different because to have a child that may or may not, because God could have worked his thing to where that my son didn't have these things because it was another child that was born 1 year later who went through the same thing my baby went through. And now that little girl is the most intelligent, smart, just blooming child with no disabilities. But she went through the same thing my baby did.
You never know.
I would have never known, but I feel like God, my child was not meant to be on this earth. Um, he was only meant for me to get away from his father. And I learned that. It took me years to learn that, and now I learn it, and I'm just like, God, I thank you. I really do thank you. But that was a hard lesson. God, you couldn't teach me no other way.
He said you didn't listen to the flag. You didn't see the flags. You didn't
I didn't
praise
pay.
it?
Nope, didn't pay
See?
no attention to it.
We don't want him to demand your attention. Like
That's what he did.
we have to start listening early because we can't let him demand our attention because it's not gonna be anything that we like.
And that's true, because that's exactly what he did. He demanded my attention with something that I did not like, that I did not agree with. I
Yeah,
didn't sign up for. And
nobody signs
and think about a child going through this, and my child would have been in the hospital for a long time. And then
financially. Jeez.
financially, and taking care of a mother who had early onset dementia, and dealing with family who always had to say so but didn't,
And going to school.
and going to school, and
Ain't
had
no
a
way.
family who did not even support financially, but I always had something to say. So picture all of that going on if I would have had my child. And then the father of my child would have probably tried to take my child, because even when I was pregnant, he would just randomly call and start mess. Randomly.
That's crazy.
So to go through all of that is why I am who I am today. This is why I work so hard to advocate for others who are not able to advocate for themselves. This is why, even working for the state and doing investigations of nursing homes, had I known then what I know now, my mother would not have been in a nursing home. And when I started working for the state doing investigations of nursing home, I had no mercy because I knew what went on behind the scenes. And I had no mercy, but I also was too close. I was too close. Working for the foster care agency 1 year after I had my child, I was not ready.
Yeah.
I was not ready. I had kids come to my caseload to where that the biological parents, you read their files and you like, God, but you blessed them with a kid. Okay. Then they get placed in a foster home, and some of the foster parents were only there for money. And that would piss you off, and you'd be like, really? This baby done already been through enough. So I wasn't ready. I had just lost my child the year before. I wasn't ready. Then I worked in mental health, and to see what parents went through, that could have been me. I'm not saying that it would have, but it could have. And the whole time God was showing me this could have been your life. And I was like, no, God, you still took my child away. But that could have been me. Then I left there, and then that's when I went to the state. But then I left the state and then came to education. So every single job that I've had is all because of what I have gone through in my life personally.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I yearn so much to help others, because if I can help somebody not go through what I've gone through, or to help them along the way as they're going through it, then I definitely will.
Yeah.
And that's why I am a social worker. I am.
You are exactly who you needed when you were younger.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell you, I think it's crazy. I feel like I've said that in every single interview I've had this season.
Mhm.
Literally. You are the person that you needed when you were younger. And the experiences that you've had molded you for this particular purpose.
Mhm.
And that's so crazy to just, when you think about it, it's just like,
That
what?
is true.
That's like,
That is true. I am the person that I needed when I was young.
yeah. And I want you to kind of talk about like how, with this newfound understanding
Mhm.
of what God has done,
Mhm.
and just like where you are now with reconnecting with God, like, can you talk a little bit about that journey a little bit?
Mhm. It took me a long time to get to where I am today spiritually. Um, I just I've been knowing about God my whole life. And I grew up on my parents' religion, not mine. I grew up on the perspective of my parents and not mine. Um, I grew up on, okay, my mama went to church every Sunday. I got to go to church every Sunday. My mama prayed to God when things were good and when things were bad. And I got to do that. I got to do that. My mama said that, that God won't leave you, and God won't put more on you than what you can bear. But that's actually not in the Bible, because God never said that he wasn't going to challenge you. He never said that he wasn't going to almost break you.
He almost guaranteed that there will be trials and tribulations. There's a guarantee that there will be trials and tribulations. That's the Bible. That's in there. I saw it.
I mean, God never said, "Oh, I'm gonna make your life easy. You're gonna be all right." No, he never said that. Actually,
Uh-uh.
when you are worshiping the Lord, that's when your trials do come.
But it comes to make you stronger too.
It does.
And the point of it is, you can't do it by yourself. So the goal is for you to rely on him.
Hmm.
If you don't rely on him, you will get crushed.
And that's the part that I had to realize. Like, this year, I started the year off doing my devotionals, and I slipped quite a bit, slipped, and then I try to get back on each and every time. Years before, I didn't do this. Um, when things get hard, like, I never forget this year around Valentine's Day, I was fine up until the night before Valentine's Day. I was like, you know what? Another year, I ain't got a man. I was like, another year, I don't got one. Now, God, you'll be mad if I gone but I ain't doing that. And for that moment, I literally had to pray, and I was like, I'm mad, I'm angry, because I don't know what I'm missing. But I kept idolizing marriage and idolizing a family when God didn't want me to do that. He wanted me to focus on him. Don't praise him because of what he can give me.
Yeah,
Praise him and worship him for what he has done and for who he is.
absolutely.
He is God. And it took not only you, but it took one of my other friends. And she told me, she was like, I don't want you to praise God for what he can do for you, but I want you to praise him for who he is.
Yeah,
And, we are actually, we talk, we communicate, she has a sound mind. Like when you told me, find somebody that you can be in discipleship with. She is that person.
Mm-hmm.
You are that person. I only have two. Because it's not that everybody else doesn't believe in God. That's not what that is. It's just that I have two main people that I know that I can talk to God about, which I can talk to God about all five with all five of my friends. I can.
I love that she keeping
But
the emphasis on 5. I love it.
I can talk about God to all five of them. But it's two that will give me what God wants them to give me, not based off their personal opinion, not based off of any of that. It's them saying, hey, seek God, ask God. How you talking to me? Talk to God.
Got to.
You got to do this with the Lord in mind. You got to do. And I had one of that same friend. She asked me, she was like, will you still praise God if you don't get a kid?
That's a tough question.
That is. And
Like, that's a good,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's when I told her, I said no. I literally said no because I was like, because that's where I am. No, I won't praise him. I can't accept him if he don't give me what I've been asking for. Didn't the Bible say, ask and you shall receive? And didn't the Bible say, ask and this shall be given to. So why would I still praise him if he's not giving me what I asked for? And that was recent. Like, I was literally saying, I'm hurt. I'm hurt because God, you know how much I've been wanting a family of my own, especially because I'm not close to my family. Because me and my family don't get along. So yeah, I want my own family. I want that. And so to have that and to want that and not have it, that's hurtful because I've been wanting this ever since my child died.
Mm-hmm.
We talking about for 13 years. That's a long time to want something and still haven't received it.
Yeah.
And so God keep blessing me with other little babies, friends' babies, friends. Yeah, I love on them. I hold them. I cater to them, but they're not mine. They are my nieces, my nephews, my godchildren. They are those, not someone that I birth. And a lot of people's like, well, what about adoption? I am okay with adoption. I am. But I want to give birth to my own.
Yeah.
I want my own. And yes, I want it with my husband, but I want my husband to be God-sent. I don't want just any old man. I done been through enough in life, doggone it. I want my God-sent husband.
Yeah.
So to even now, I pray and I'm just like, God, where do you want me to be? Where do you want me to go in life? Show me what it is that you have in store for me or that you want me to do, or lead me in the direction that you want me to go. God, where am I supposed to be? Help me to seek you first.
Mm-hmm.
Help me to just know that everything that you're doing is not to hurt me. And then it was one time I prayed and I said, God, if I do not have a family of my own, help me to accept that and to still praise you through it all.
Mm-hmm.
I never prayed that prayer before, and it gave me chills, and it actually choked me up and made me cry
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, I'm saying that. Oh Lord, what if he don't give me what if he don't give me no family, Lord? What if he don't give me no child? Okay, I can do this. God, help me to still trust you, to give myself to you.
Mm-hmm.
Help me to still praise you and accept you, even if you don't give me what I've been yearning for. And that's you.
Mm-hmm.
Help me to praise you for who you are, not for what you can do for me, but for who you are.
Yeah. That's a surrender.
Yep,
And that's what he's been waiting on.
that is, and it is definitely a surrender. And
Yeah.
I can tell you this, Sissy, like to surrender, I have been at peace since then. And when I mean that, when I say that, I don't think about having a family of my own as much as I used to.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, now don't get me wrong. I still think about it, but it is not as piercing
Mm-hmm.
and hurtful as much as it was before.
Because you did this. You handed it to the person who can actually do something about it. As long as you kept it here
Mm-hmm.
and here, you gotta carry that weight. You're choosing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you're carrying it, okay, have it.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll break you. But if you give it to him, the person who can actually do something about it,
Mm-hmm.
surrendering is the only posture that we can do.
And that is one of the hardest things that
It's
we can do.
difficult, but I want to live like this for real, like forever, because I don't want to have to do. I'm not. My hands are broken, so even when the husband broken, I'm practicing with Jesus. Like I'm practicing. I don't want to touch it. You showed me
That is so true. Because
for real.
I still pray for whoever my future husband is.
You
I still
should.
pray,
You
but
should. Yeah.
it's not the whole prayer.
Yeah.
It's God, while I'm waiting, help me to focus on you.
Yeah.
And even when I pray, just how you do this and you be like, I literally go, God,
Mm-hmm.
help me to surrender myself to you because it does not get easy. It gets harder and harder because
It does.
different situations arise daily. So it gets harder and harder. But even now, I find myself not cursing as much because baby, I used to cuss like a sailor
Mm-hmm.
or a shipman, whatever, captain. But now, and I still have my slip ups, but when I have my slip ups, I feel so bad. I feel like, oh.
It changes you. That's once you surrender, other things get better, and you are more aware.
Mm-hmm.
And when you become more aware,
Mm-hmm.
things can shift. Mindset shifts, heart posture shifts,
It does.
and the way you act
It does.
shifts.
It does. Because baby, last week, coworker, baby, I was like, baby, that ain't nothing but God that's keeping you.
Yeah.
Baby, that's God that's keeping you. Because had God not been working in my life, baby, I would have turned this badge in a long time ago. Okay. God is keeping you, honey. Bless you better thank him. But even now, like I find myself if it becomes too stressful or I'll remove myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not dealing with this. No, let me go pray to God about it because I feel like I need to talk to Jesus. Me, God, and Jesus need to be on the same page because right now we're not. And I feel like even when I go to bed at night, God, help me with all of my problems to leave them in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go. Even with, to have all that mess that I went through last year, I had to literally turn that over to God.
Got to.
That took me under.
Yeah.
And I had to turn that over to God because it was taking me down. And I was like, and it triggered me. It triggered me back to the father of my child. It
Yeah.
triggered me because I was like, the lies, I feel like I got to tell the truth. I feel like I got to tell the truth because they lying. Like they not being truthful right now. They lying. Y'all believe them? I lost friends. And then
But did you lose friends?
and that's the thing. You weren't my friends to begin with. You wavered, baby. The wind blew this way, you went that way. So it's bye. You're right, but it hurt.
Yeah.
During the process. It still hurt because these are people that I have been knowing
Forever.
for years,
Yeah.
and so the fact that she took that she lied and told them and for them to believe her, that hurt me because I was like, have I ever showed you? Have I showed you what she's telling you? I haven't. But you don't have the decency to come to me and to talk to me. And I almost allowed that situation to consume my life and to stop me from going to church. I had to pray. I had to literally pray. I had to have people pray for me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I look at her and I'm like, you do you. Because, baby, you're not going to win.
No.
But this is not even a competition. You do you. You lied. Cool. Whoever want to believe you, believe you. And it took a long time for me to get to that point because every time I walked in, you didn't think negative things didn't come to my mind. Oh, baby, you do you. And I had to literally pray, uncross my legs, uncross my feet, uncross fingers, eyes, Lord, because clearly I'm clouded right now. God. And I remember I didn't even close my eyes. I just looked up and I was like, God, please, this is taking everything out of me. I don't want to worry about this anymore. This is draining. This is toxic. I don't want to worry about this anymore. So as days go by, I will go to church. I feel a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Then there were times I backslide. I wasn't feeling okay today. I really want to slap you, but I'm going to go to church next Sunday. Okay, I feel a little better. I feel a little better. Oh, nope, nope. See, just the sight of them pissed me off. Okay, God, okay. And if people knew what was going through my head, they would think that I'm crazy. But again, it's what makes it difficult for us is so-called surrendering, but then taking it back.
Yep.
And then, being like, okay, I surrender. Oh, God, what you doing over there? Let me see. Okay, God, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it.
Make a decision.
Mm-hmm. And so I decided at that point, this is not healthy for me. I gotta give it up.
You got to. Because if not, it's gonna keep consuming your life and you're not gonna be able to function anywhere else.
Not at all.
Not at all. Man. Well, I'm gonna ask you, see, with all of that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask you the question because I feel like you probably answered it within the podcast, but I want to ask you directly because you may say something different.
Okay.
So, what is one life lesson you've learned throughout your journey that you believe makes you unstoppable?
One thing that I've learned through life's journey to make me unstoppable.
Yeah, that you believe makes you unstoppable.
The perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've learned throughout my years of life, you have got to keep pushing even when you feel defeated.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you feel like giving up, you feel disgusted, you feel like you don't want to live anymore, you have got to keep going. You got to persevere. And perseverance is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard. And I feel like when you are going through things and they hitting you all at once, you want to give up. You want to say, forget this. I'm not doing this no more. But then where is that going to leave you?
Stuck.
Because you still got to do something
You'll be
anyway.
stuck.
Yeah. So you be like, okay, I give up today. Well, you still got to get up and walk to the bathroom, don't you? Because you gotta urinate, don't you? You gotta get up. Oh, you hungry and you don't feel like eating, so you sit there, and then all of a sudden you find yourself getting up, going to the kitchen, getting you a snack. Then you be like, I do need this money. I gotta get up and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, that perseverance, work perseverance is insane.
My God.
That's some because sometimes you just be like, I don't want to do this no more.
Stay a kid, guys.
Please stay a kid.
Don't grow up fast.
I'm trying
Just
to tell you, if
enjoy.
my mama was still living and she was in her right mind and she'd be like, baby, come home. Let me tell you something. I have a garage sale, everything $1. Better yet, take it. My gift to you. I'm going back home.
Yeah.
But perseverance. I feel that it is something that you have to keep doing. You got to keep pushing. You have to keep going. You can't give up because what is life when you give up? And it's a saying that all the opportunities that you did not do or is the only thing that would cause you to fail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to at least try. Keep trying. You say, and that's something that I've learned. You say, oh, I tried. Keep trying. Because life is all about trying.
Yeah.
Trial and error.
Trial and error.
You keep going. Oh, it didn't work. It didn't work when I turned left. Okay, well, turn right. It didn't work when I turned right. Okay, well, go up. It didn't work when I went up. Okay, go down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go kind of to the corner. Just right and left. Go in between. See what works.
Mm-hmm.
That door didn't work. Okay, go through the window.
Yep.
True, build you a door. Cut that wall out.
Build you a door.
And that is so real. Like a lot of things in life we feel don't work, but it doesn't work because it's not meant for us to have it. It didn't work because it wasn't meant for it to work. God said, I didn't tell you to do that. Why did you do that? It ain't gonna work because that's not what I have in store for you.
Right.
And then when he'd be like, you know what? Go ahead, Susie. Go. Learn out, go find out for yourself. Then you go through it and you realize that no, that wasn't it. And now you calling on God to help you. And he'd be like, I told you. Now sit down somewhere while I fix this mess that you done created.
Lord Jesus.
We gotta keep going. Bottom line, keep going. If you don't believe in the Lord, I don't know what to tell you because I don't know. I don't know what life is without believing in the Lord. When I thought I didn't believe in the Lord, I did because I found myself still talking
She was
to him.
still going to church and everything. Yo, like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, God kept her, but she was still going to church and do everything. So she was in the atmosphere, but he doesn't leave you.
He doesn't. Even when
he doesn't leave you.
You mad and you throw your tantrums.
He'd be like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Like, I had this one friend, and she said when she would get mad at God, she'd be like, I'm not talking to you today. And she was like, but I'm gonna buckle your seatbelt. But I'm not talking to you right now. And I feel that that's so true. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but you spoke to him when you took a breath because that's his name.
Yeah, because you be like, I ain't talking to you today. Oh, okay, but you acknowledged me. Somebody, come on now. But I noticed that God is the ruler over all. He's the creator. He's the beginning and the end. And you telling me he can't take our little tantrums? He can.
He's just looking at you like, whenever you finish.
Yeah, whenever you finish, whenever you're ready. I'm right here. Come talk to me. You mad? All right.
That's cute.
Well, yeah, be mad. I'm right here when you need to talk to me. And it's so funny because we have tantrums with the Lord all the time, and he see us being mad. And even though we don't say that we mad, God knows our heart. All those times that I was angry, sad, cursing, and trying to fuss with God, I wasn't really doing nothing but fussing with myself because at the end of the day, I made the decisions that I made.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to pay the consequences. Now, during that time, did I feel like I was alone? Yes. But during the time, God didn't say I wasn't going to bump my head, scratch my arm, get a cut here and there, darn near lose my life. He didn't say that. But he was right there through every single thing. And even when I look back on the loss of my child, the loss of my mama, the loss of my daddy, the loss of family, because that is a part of grief. You grieve the loss of anything in your life. You grieve it. And maybe that's the social work side of me, but you grieve everything that you lose. Whether it's family, death, it doesn't matter. Relationships, friendships, you grieve it. And when you do, you have to go through the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So me losing family, it took me years to be like, God, why don't I have family? Every year for the holidays, I didn't go to my biological family's house. I went to my family's house. I went to my adopted family, my people who claim me as their own. I go to their house. And now during the holidays, I have a cousin that calls me and say, hey, I just want to make sure you're not at home by yourself. You want to come over, you can come over. Thank you. But I've adapted to not having you in my life. It's nothing wrong with that. I just have adapted and done other things, other norms. I have other norms. And I'm okay with it because I walk in and I am embraced with so much love. I am embraced with hey baby, how you doing? What's going on, niece? What's going on? One uncle, I just, it's so funny.
It's his birthday today too.
Really?
Hmm. Yeah.
But I sit up here and I'm just like, I embrace. I now embrace that love that I've yearned for so long. I embrace it because it feels so good to be loved. And when I graduated, I walked in and it was, congratulations, baby. I'm so proud of you. You
Hmm.
did it. You did. Had love. Love that I have not had since my mom and dad. When I graduated high school, my mama and daddy, my daddy bought a whole suit.
Mm.
And during my daddy's life, my daddy would only wear slacks, a button down with a tie. He never would wear the jacket. But for my high school graduation, this man bought a whole suit and wore it proudly. And then went to people at work and told them my baby graduated. And I'm like, Daddy, it's just high school. He was like, it doesn't
Not
matter.
just that,
Because my brother didn't graduate high school.
but it's not just.
You're right. And
It's not.
I had to accept that. But to have some things like, I think my parents will be so proud of me.
Hmm.
Now, some of the things that I did wrong in life, I can hear my mama now. Now, baby, you know that's a sin. And God is not pleased. Baby, everything was a sin, okay? I couldn't. I grew up Church of Christ, okay? We don't have music. If my mama knew that I went to Baptist churches, whatever, baby, she boy,
Hey, not so much. That's what I grew up at.
right? But now it's like, and that goes to another thing. I'm learning God for myself,
Hmm.
and I'm learning what I like and what I don't. I'm not going off of the the religion that my mom knew.
Hmm.
I'm going off of what I'm learning. Because you cannot tell me a 80-something-year-old Baptist woman who lives better and follows the word better than a 80-something-year-old Church of Christ is not going to heaven, because she is. I'm
Are
that's
you
me.
following Jesus Christ? That's it.
Are you?
That's it.
And that's my thing. Like, I'm sorry. I know that a lot of people believe, oh, we the only ones. No, we're not.
Mm-mm.
No, we're not. And who are we to judge?
As long as you're following Jesus Christ and you believe that he died for your sins and rose again,
Mm-hmm. And
it makes a difference.
it really does. I love the Lord. And I know the Lord loved me because, baby, I could have been gone from this earth a long time ago. But God said he wasn't finished with me yet, and I wasn't done with what he had in store.
Right. You have a purpose
I
and
do.
you're not done here. He has so much more in store for you for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I pray that you really do just continue to keep building that relationship. It's being renewed and restored now, and that you do continue to figure out what this looks like for you
Mm-hmm.
versus accepting what was handed.
Mm-hmm.
They gave you a great foundation, though.
Mm-hmm. It did.
It gave you a great foundation to build on. Now you have to do it yourself.
Yep.
And I believe that he's going to show you something totally different. And it's going to hit you different because it's your experience.
I believe so.
So
I definitely believe so.
I'm excited for you. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
And I'm excited for you because you got a whole podcast
Child.
and making books and stuff. I wanted to make a book.
And you still will.
I said make a book. I wanted to write a book.
She still will. She still will. But I appreciate you coming on, sis. Thank you so much for being so open and sharing your story. I really do hope that someone that watches it really does see themselves in it and know that even though they may be feeling the same way or experience some of the things you did, seeing that you overcame it, that they can do it too.
And I agree. I hope that whoever watches this understand that I am not in a season of bashing people. I ain't gonna say that I ain't never been there. But what I'm saying is God has so much more for me. And bashing others is not on the agenda.
Mm-mm.
Because we all are still a child of God. We all are still children of his. And my job is not to belittle, to bash, not even the father of my late son. No, my job is to be who God wants me to be, to help those in need, to to allow him to work through me. That's my goal. So I'm not saying all of this to offend anybody. I'm telling my story, my testimony,
Mm-hmm.
and how I got to where I am today.
Yeah. And that's that on that.
Bye.
Bye. That's
And thanks to Coach K for firming up the dough. I'm ready for the journey with the self-pro. I know there will be highs, I know there will be lows. Road to success, guys.